So I packed this morning. It was that little tile that I did my first demonstration on. I just wanted you to kind of give this a little bit of a press so you can feel that that gum arabic actually does make a pretty significant difference. So that's how your molds feel before they go into the kiln. So I just want you to know that it's not an arbitrary thing. It actually does add some tack to the surface before it goes into the kiln. You're still gonna pick up a little bit, but you can feel that as you're pressing, it's not moving. If it was loose grit, you would definitely be leaving big imprints in there. Sometimes it's harder to remember to do the things if you don't understand why you're doing them. So hopefully that makes it a little clearer. And this morning I timed myself. So with a half full Wegmans Olive Bar container of frit, it is about 4 seconds of water and to 1 second of gum arabic. With my Clairol color applicating bottles, which you can purchase at any like Ulta or any makeup shop. I think they're really actually pretty great.
Can you say it again? 4 seconds?
Oh, sure. 4 seconds of water to 1 second of gum arabic, which I suppose if they're coming out equally fast would be a 4-to-1 ratio. But really, did anybody see what it looks like with too much gum arabic? It looks really glossy. It doesn't kind of crumble the way you want it to look. So I have my mold here. I agonized over color, and I am just going to make this clear because I think it's going to look the best that way. So we'll pretend like there is the color application in here, and we're starting at the point where you are all soon approaching. Now, when you go to put your frit into this, what you want to happen is this. You want an even amount of frit all the way around the bowl. This is your goal. Everything should be even. It should be not thicker or thinner anywhere. What is going to happen is this. So we are trying to avoid this. It's bad. Don't do it. And that's going to happen because of gravity, because it's going to be much more natural for you to want to fill your bowl this way. So I want you to just keep that in mind, that we want to try and make your walls even as possible. And we're going to do at least 2 layers today. We start by dropping this right into the middle. Same as last time, you're just going to be really nice and gentle before you start to compress. And you're going to need 2 different shape tools today. Something to press it down and something to press it up on the walls. Well, I'm pressing pretty firmly. And what this is doing is it's kind of pushing as much air as possible out of my glass. Now, a lot of you, I think what happened yesterday, all of our tiles came out fine. And that's because when this heats up, gravity pulls everything directly towards the floor. With the tiles, it's flat, so everything just goes down. With this, you've got sort of this 3-dimensional shape, and this step becomes much more important. So you really want to try and compress all that air out, and you want to do little spoonfuls. I think maybe the spoonfuls were too big, so you're ending up with too much material, and then you really had to move all of that extra glass off of the tile, so it felt a little more frustrating, and it felt like you were really just, everything was kind of moving all at once. So start with a smaller spoonful.
If you have deep indentations, do you do those first?
Yeah, so deep indent, that's a really great question, because some of you do have really deep indentations. It might not be a bad idea if you've got time. If you end up kind of cutting it a little close, you can really just focus on where those indentations are and do it as 1 layer. Did that answer your question? So also remember to leave that leading edge up and kind of fluffy, because you're going to fold your next layer into that edge. So see how that edge is not compressed at all? And when I do my next edge, I'm going to put this right here. You can tilt your bowl and kind of fold that together. Now do be careful with this. If you find that your mold has got some thinner and thicker spots, you want to be a little bit more gentle with this tapping. So you can punch through your mold, especially if you ended up with a shape that's like a volcano as opposed to like a bowl shape. So you ended up with a little extra material on this layer. So what I'm doing right now is I'm kind of doing a once over, tapping it pretty firmly. I'm gonna get everything onto the surface, and then I'll go back and I'll really start whacking it. Yeah, it should sound just like that. Now if you find that your edges are kind of falling in, a little bit is okay. That probably just means that you haven't tamped it all the way in yet. If a lot of it's falling down, this is probably too dry, or your mold is probably too dry. A little bit though, can you all see how a little bit is falling down? For me, that's all right. You're never gonna be able to get it all in there all at once. And it's actually, what's falling in mine is the stuff that I'm gonna remove anyways. Okay, so there is my very rough start. What I'll do before I start to really pack it is I'm gonna pull off the excess from my clearly defined lip, which maybe some of you have and maybe you don't. Start to tamp. So now comes in the two different pieces. So I'm gonna tap down, and I'm going to start to tap up the edges with a tool that looks like this, or the back of my spoon. And again, I'm really worrying about compressing that air out of it. I'm trying to make it all nice and even. If I have any that falls towards the bottom, I won't tap that into the bottom. I'm going to try and lift that out with the spoon. So all that extra material at the bottom is just going to give me a really weird, thick bowl. You can also use the back of a spoon to do the same thing that this tool will do. We've only got 4 of these. So back of a spoon will do the exact same job. I want to be really aware. I have a smaller bowl than you, so this might not be quite as much of an issue for you, but I don't want to whack this side as I'm going to tap this side.
That other tool was made here.
These guys, yeah. Although you could make this, what is this, Kat?
That is the back of a bowl.
Carriage bowl.
And yeah, back of a bowl and a piece of steel that we had laying around.
So I have these old tools as well that I got from a Hatteberg Fascinator that we can use as well. And so these are just a piece of copper that's been dished out. And then on the back of it is that microcrystalline wax. So these are nice. I like these a little bit better because they're adjustable, right? So you can kind of move them and wiggle them. And sometimes they melt in your car and get weird. So those of you that are small metals people in here, rock out a few of these and that'll be super useful. Sounds like maybe you might be able to sell them to other people in this class.
Only I brought my tools.
So you can see this looks pretty good to me for a first layer. There isn't any big indentations or dishes. It all looks kind of the same. I know that I noticed when I was tapping that it wasn't really shifting a whole lot. I'll do one more layer and then I'll really actually give it even a little more pressure than I was giving it just now.
How thick do you think that is right now?
I don't know. Does anybody have a needle tool sitting in front of them? You do. Let's see. So yeah, my biggest recommendation to you is smaller spoonfuls. So maybe 1/8 of an inch.
Yeah, you're if that.
Yeah.
And,
So
and we have to make it how big?
About half?
you do at least 2 layers, and then we'll assess from there. Okay. All right.